Jonathan Schrager for mixedmartialarts.com, and I'm joined by Sage Northcutt on the eve of UFC 194. I suppose the first question, Sage, is obviously you've performed this week. A very impressive victory in many regards that showcase certain skills. Before I ask you about the fight itself, I just wanted to ask: there's a lot of hoopla surrounding you at the moment, a lot of buzz. Do you feel the pressure at all?
No, sir, there's no pressure, and it just makes it all more fun because I know the UFC is so organized, and I'm just going to have a blast doing what I like.
Okay, yeah. So there's not an element of kind of with all the media and as it intensifies, you don't feel that pressure of the glare. Do you think you thrive on it almost?
Definitely, yes, sir. So actually, the more people it feels like in the arena, the more people supporting me or chanting or yelling, it seems to pump me up more, and I get more excited. So it makes it all like more fun.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and I mean, as I mentioned there, we're on the eve of UFC 194, massive, UFC, one of the biggest events of all time. Is this an event that presumably you aspire to headline at some point in the coming years?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I would love to. So that would be a huge honor to get to do that, and just getting to watch all these awesome fighters. So I've actually only been to 2 UFC events, and those are the 2 that I competed in so far.
Yeah.
And Thursday being my second one. So I've actually never gotten to sit in the audience of a UFC event and actually watch the fight. So I'm looking forward to that tonight.
Do you think it will make you almost sort of even more excited at the prospect of experiencing that yourself?
Yes, definitely more excited for sure.
Top man, and I wanted to ask regarding, like, obviously Conor McGregor's a man that he very much believes in visualization. He always goes on record as saying he visualized himself becoming the champion, like a prophecy almost. With yourself, do you look too far into the future? Do you foresee UFC gold? You're obviously a very ambitious young man. Is that something obviously you're aspiring to?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And you have to visualize. So I agree with that, what Connor says, because if you don't visualize it, then how can you set your goals and make your goals come true? So, yes, I can see it, and I'm obviously taking my time one fight at a time and working my way up slowly so I can learn as a fighter and grow as a fighter too. So I'm looking forward to it in the future.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And I wanted to ask as well, like, a few comments online, people are people and they can be critical about things. They say, oh, this guy is so nice, he's so friendly, it must be fake, because they just can't conceive of someone being super friendly. But I've heard people that know you very well, like Faraz, and even Julie Kedzie came out on Twitter and said, oh, I met Sage, he's a sweetheart, as he comes across on camera, that is Sage. And I've met you now, and I can vouch for it as well. You're a nice guy. Does it frustrate you at all that you have to sort of receive this criticism when you're just being yourself?
No, it's okay. I mean, I know that I'm having fun doing all this, getting to meet all the people, and everybody that gets to come up to me and talk to me, I'm having a blast. So if the people that may not know me might think certain things, but hopefully in the future they do get to know me, and I hope I get to meet as many people as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And one quite amusing question that I think one of the journalists asked you at the media scrum when you were obviously doing your media workout before the fight, I think they asked you, is there anything that frustrates you? Like anything in the world that frustrates you? Having had a bit of time to think, like even stubbing your toe on the plug, like, would that annoy you? Is there something you can say, oh, no, actually, that does annoy me?
That would hurt. Stubbing your toe, that would hurt. I've done that. I try to laugh it off. So, but anything that's really negative that might be trying to come against me or like anyone, for instance, I really kind of try to tune that out, block that out, and not concentrate on it. So, and there's always an upside to something. So if there's something that may not be good or something that may be negative coming your way, there's always something bigger in store.
For sure, yeah. No, I like the mindset. It's a good mindset to have. Another thing that was sort of there was a question posed to you during the media scrum, and it's something that the way you handled it, I thought you handled it majestically. Someone mentioned steroids, and you almost thanked them for, because it's a compliment to the shape you're in. Does it frustrate you as an athlete that clearly works very hard on his craft as a martial artist when people mention things like that purely based on your physical appearance? Does that frustrate you at all?
No, sir, absolutely not. And just the fact that they think that really is a huge compliment. It makes me flattered. Yeah. So I know how hard that I've worked my whole entire life, dieting for 15 years, training the hardest, and anybody that knows me knows how hard I train, how I diet, and how much effort I put into it. So that's a big compliment for me. And if someone thinks that, then that means a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. And kind of neatly segues onto another question regarding people have speculated online. I don't know where this rumour came from, but it was one like we mentioned the other day in the press conference. Someone said, "Oh, is it true that you don't use the internet?" And I think someone else told me that he's never had a chocolate bar or something like that. Basically, the media trying to depict, I suppose, quite a protected upbringing, I suppose, compared to a lot of teenagers. Is that accurate? Is it? I mean, obviously you competed a lot as a youngster, so you probably did have to sacrifice quite a bit in certain regards.
Sure, I may not. I'm kind of new to the social media, but no, I use the internet for sure. I have to use it for school, use it to watch fights on Fight Pass, use it for my social media, my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, and I run those. So I am using my internet, and but now maybe not using it in the way if someone's talking negative stuff. I really don't look at that stuff, and I don't really concentrate on any of that. So that may be kind of out of the equation, but I'm always thanking the people that do, and trying my best to thank everybody that does say positive things and can say something that's uplifting.
And I imagine the majority of comments that you're receiving are positive. There's seems to be a lot of love for you out there.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I suppose just to add to that question, this kind of idea of, are there things that people perceive at everyday normal teenagers that they can experience, going out, sort of socialising? Are they things that essentially you had to sacrifice a little bit growing up to get into the shape you are and the competition that you experienced?
Well, sure, for sure. There's always certain things, but the thing is, it's not really sacrificing certain things, because everything I'm doing is fun for me. Yeah. So if I get to travel, like growing up, for instance, in karate, every other weekend practically for tournaments, missing days of school, I'm sacrificing days of school, but it makes me study that much harder. I'm making straight A's in school all throughout my junior high, my high school, and I'm in Texas A&M now, one of the toughest subjects in petroleum engineering. So it's not really a sacrifice. It's all worth it, and it's all fun for me.
Yeah, but in terms of have you had moments where you're a normal guy, aren't you? At the end of the day, you'll be going out with your mates and stuff. I'm sure you have had moments where you've been out with your pals and what have you like that. It's not like you've just lived your life trapped in a bubble.
Right. Yes, sir. No, yeah, we like going out fishing. Normally ride motorcycles, four-wheelers, all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah. With the UFC now, I'm being careful not riding motorcycles or anything like that. But yes, always having a blast for sure.
Yeah, being more cautious than Donald Cerrone, who is renowned for kind of extreme sports and stuff. What is it that you like to do then outside? I mean, you mentioned a couple of things there. You've had to taper off the cycles and stuff, but what do you like to do? Are you a cinema man? Are you a film buff? What's your kind of pleasure when you're not training?
I'm really an outdoors guy, so I like going swimming, like going, I would say hiking, but we don't really have very many hiking trails around. So like fishing, anything that's really like if you're going like tubing, anything like that's really outdoors, it's a blast for me.
Fantastic, yeah. I suppose the next question, and something we were discussing a little bit off camera, was your studies. Something that fascinates me in terms of people that can ply the trade at the elite level whilst simultaneously juggling like another profession or studies, or just talk to us a little bit about the course you're doing and how basically you can juggle both simultaneously.
So right now I'm an engineer at petroleum engineering, or at Texas A&M for petroleum engineering, and I'm a second semester freshman. So my first semester before the UFC, I was taking full-time classes, and that's studying Monday through Friday, having classes every single day of the week, and studying completely like till maybe 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, then having to go get some cardio, like running outside, working out with weights super late at night at the rec center, and then on Saturday and Sunday you're doing group projects. So obviously that's really hard to be able to fit the UFC in with that. So what I've done is I've cut back on the amount of classes and the workload that I have at A&M. So I'm taking just the minimum right now, but I'm still able to train and study my major, petroleum engineering, at the same time.
And does that essentially mean because you're doing slightly less, does that mean that the course will last a couple of years longer because it's not as intensive? Is that how it operates? Because in England you can kind of do less intensive courses, they may go on a couple of years longer.
It's still intensive courses, so it's still for my subject. The thing is, it's just less of a workload. So really, it kind of eliminates having to get together with your partners in your class and your groups to have to go do group projects over the weekend. That way, I can travel, go to compete for the UFC or go to different events and have fun and train too.
I'm guessing your classmates are a bit annoyed about that. Now you're a UFC star, they probably want you to be working alongside them.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. I'm sure they want to come to the fights.
That's it, yeah. I was going to say, have any of them, like, your feedback, you know, I imagine you're going to get a kind of, I know Paige calls them fans ants, doesn't she? But, like, you'll have, like, your own kind of cohort of fans at some point.
Oh, thank you. I love that.
Good man. I wanted to ask as well, how long does the course last? Because when I was talking to Artem Lobov, long time training partner of Conor, and obviously he was featured in the Tough finale, he mentioned that he was a banker, and it's only really in the last year, since Conor's kind of meteoric rise, he's had the ability to fully focus on martial arts. With yourself, how long will the course last? And it's kind of strange for us to think that you're competing at this level, yet you're going to be doing quite an intensive course.
Yes, sir. So normally the course could last 4 or 5 years, depending on obviously your subject. For petroleum engineering, though, that's having the workload where you're working constantly, Monday through Friday, even Saturday and Sundays working, not really getting to do much because you're studying all the time with your partners and your groups and everything. Yeah. But so cutting back the classes and the workload right now, it could obviously take years and years more just to get it done. Yeah. But having the opportunity to have the petroleum engineering open right now while getting to fight for the UFC, that's a big opportunity. Just not only the UFC is a big opportunity, but the subject I'm in for petroleum engineering is one of the toughest inside not only Texas, but for all of Texas A&M. Texas A&M is the #1 school in the nation for petroleum engineering too. So it's hard to get accepted in there. So keeping that major is a big deal. But in the future, it is possible that I might take a break from it and then go back.
I was going to say, yeah, because say you get to a level where you break into the top 15, top 10, conceivably at that stage, do you then start thinking, I need to fully focus now and maybe, like you say, take a bit of a hiatus from the studies?
Right, for sure. That's very possible. Yes, sir. Train full time. You can always go back to school. So, and right now the oil's down right now, and the oil price, the gas. So, but maybe in a few years it'll be back up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can I ask what inspired this? I mean, what subjects did you do at high school that led on to it, and what kind of inspired? Some Irish fans here entering the building. Yeah, what inspired petroleum? I mean, it's quite a very specific sort of subject.
So really, actually, a friend of mine, a few friends too, not only just my friends because they were petroleum engineers at Texas A&M, and friends of my friends, but also the engineering and petroleum engineering, the oil and the gas is really huge in Texas. So it's something that I want to do, and it's just a fun subject to do also for me. I love not only the petroleum part of it, but just the engineering in general. Just I could take an engine, let's say, like for instance, my old motorcycle, my first motorcycle I ever had. Okay. I took apart the whole entire bike all the way down to the engine and like changed stuff out and then put the whole entire bike back together. Right. The only thing I didn't take off was the tires and the steering wheel. So yeah, so I love to build things and all sorts of stuff like that also. So that really inspired me.
Did it run better afterwards?
It did a lot better.
Yeah, so successful, good man. I wanted to ask you then, just sort of moving on now a little bit from the studies, and I appreciate the time and a couple more questions. There are certain stars in the UFC that can transcend the sport. You know, we've had, like, obviously tonight, Conor, the Ronda Rouseys of the sport, John Jones. You're a guy that's touted to be someone potentially that could be, because of your personality, because of your physical appearance, you know, that people think that you have that ability to go on and maybe transcend the sport and be a flag bearer for the sport. Is that something that obviously you would love to have on your shoulders?
Thank you, and absolutely, that would be amazing. Just to be able to do that, and not only that, just to be able to have the opportunity and the chance to be able to do that. It means a lot, and I'm gonna take every single thing that I can to make everything happen that I can with it.
And can I ask as well, what you're obviously a very very humble guy. I can't imagine you're going to start calling out fighters specifically on here, and I'm not going to ask you to do it because I know you wouldn't do it. But what kind of level do you want to progress at? I know you've mentioned it before. You're just going to take it fight at a time, build gradually. You know, if you could give us a time frame in your mind, you must sometimes sit back and think, all right, maybe in 4 years I'll be fighting for a title. Or what kind of time frame in your own mind do you have?
Well, John Jones got the title at 23 years old, I believe. So I would like to have the title and do my best to be able to work to win the title, just as anybody would, but to be the youngest person to win it. So if I could do that before 23, that'd be incredible. I would love that. So I'm working my best. I'm going to be training my hardest to be able to learn as much as I can from every fight and everything I do in training too.
So that's the kind of goal you have in your mind. You obviously want to be a history maker.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Always trying to make history.
Fantastic, good man. And one last question regarding your training. Obviously, we know that it's quite well documented. You went over to Canada to TriStar. Faraz is still in your corner, so that kind of dispels this. There was a bit of something circulating online, or there'd been people speculating, why has he left? Why has he gone back? Obviously, you can confirm everything's rosy.
Yes, everything's good. Yes, sir. I went down to Faraz, Zahabi's, TriStar, train with GSP, Rory McDonald, everybody that's awesome down there, a bunch of awesome athletes. And I was just planning to stay there for 1 week because I have schoolwork. And like this week I actually have finals that I'm taking, so I've been preparing for those finals and getting all my tests and quizzes done and everything. So I stayed there for 1 week, and then I came back, and then the plan is to actually go back after my fight, which was December 10th. So coming up soon, I should be going back to TriStar and getting to train again. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, but essentially it'll be a sort of split-based training camp between obviously home and TriStar. You'll be going back and forth.
Yes, back and forth. And I can't really stay down just at TriStar. First time was just to check it out. I can't really stay down just at TriStar because all my schoolwork and my tests, I have to be back here at Texas to be able to do that. So going back and forth maybe for a week or two, then coming back another week or two and getting to train there and come back.
And can I ask how the training in TriStar can be? Obviously training with elite athletes. How did it compare being in that gym and stuff? Was it rigorous, the sessions? How was it hard training? Like what was the takeaway experience?
Oh, I want to say it was hard. It was everybody's very technical there. So they have a lot of opportunities to train throughout the day, which is great, which means I have a lot of opportunities if I'm down there to be able to learn throughout the day. And the more opportunities to learn, the better. So I'm so young that I have a lot to learn, and I'm looking forward to learning the most I can. So it's a great place to train.
Absolutely, yeah. I've interviewed Faraz. He's a lovely guy and obviously a mastermind in MMA. So I'm glad that you're part of that team. Fantastic. I wanted to ask as well. There was a question that's just came to me then. Yeah, that was it. Obviously, when you're training alongside these elite guys that have, particularly GSP, someone like George. What advice? There'd be downtime in the gym where you're chatting with them, and he must see a little bit of the kind of rising star, and does he try and offer you advice? And what's the best piece of advice that he's offered you, really?
So really, just like it would be with any fighter, pretty much. If they're giving advice, for instance, Paige Van Zandt giving me advice, or any other fighters, would be to take each fight one fight at a time, take it slowly. Also, not just because I'm new to the UFC and I just had my second fight, but just that way I could learn as a fighter and grow as a fighter too. I'm very young, so every opportunity I get to go out there in the octagon, I'm learning something new every single time, or correcting a mistake. And I think it's very smart what people have been telling me, people at TriStar, everybody. So that's what I'm gonna look to do, and I'm looking forward to having my next fight too.
And yeah, you mentioned Paige there. Well, was it hard? Obviously, people have kind of almost coupled you up in the sense of Sage and Paige. It just kind of made sense to mention you in the same breath. Was it not a cautionary tale seeing her lose, and maybe that she's not been fast-tracked, but she fought a high level of competition quite soon? But was it upsetting for you to see her lose, I suppose? Because she obviously took it very well. She came to the press conference. She took it like a champ.
She definitely has a lot of heart, for sure, and you can see that in the fight. And she's very tough, as you can see. So they're both great fighters. Rose is a great fighter. Paige is a great fighter. And the division, it's hard for the girls because they don't have quite as big of a division as what the guys have, for instance. So they're going up really fast towards the top 10 or to the top 5, and all of a sudden you're fighting for the championship before you know it. And it happens so quick. So they really don't get a chance to really work their way up as long as what a guy could, and to learn. So I think Paige did. she showed that she has so much heart out there. And I think she'll be back better than what she was before.
Yeah, absolutely. You've had a couple of days now to reflect. I know you're in Vegas. You've been studying hard. So have you had a chance to watch the fact you say like every fight you're looking to improve? Have you had a chance to watch back the tape now? And what was your key takeaway from it? What now are you going to go and implement in training?
Yes, sir. So I did rewatch it, and what happened was the octagon was smaller than what I expected. So, like for instance, I wouldn't have gone out there just the way I did. I would have gone out there possibly not even throwing a punch or a kick, maybe throwing a punch or a kick, but immediately I could have shot on him, my opponent, Cody Pfister, taking him down immediately and try to submit him real quick, or ground and pound and finish off my opponent as quickly as possible. So the fact that the octagon was smaller, I didn't know that until I actually got in the octagon, and but now I know for the future, and I'll correct that.
Okay, so that's something that you said even at the press conference, I believe, afterwards. So you're obviously someone that picks up on things quickly anyway. It's not as if it took you a while to work that out.
Right, yes sir, exactly.
Is there anything else specifically from the fight? Was there any technique stuff or anything that you're looking to from having rewatched it, or was that the main thing?
That was the main thing, really, just the octagon size. There's always little techniques you can correct and you can make changes to. When I was on the bottom in the beginning, I was just kind of relaxing, and I felt my opponent tiring out, so I was kind of letting him get tired out, and then I took advantage of that, and I finished him off with the guillotine.
Sage, an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Thanks for the time.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Thank you.
Something that obviously you would love to have on your shoulders.
Thank you, and absolutely, that would be amazing. Just to be able to do that, and not only that, just to be able to have the opportunity and the chance to be able to do that. It means a lot, and I'm gonna take every single thing that I can to make everything happen that I can with it.
Can I ask as well, what you're obviously a very very humble guy. I can't imagine you're going to start calling out fighters specifically on here, and I'm not going to ask you to do it because I know you wouldn't do it. But what kind of level do you want to progress at? I know you've mentioned it before. You're just going to take it fight at a time, build gradually. If you could give us a time frame in your mind, you must sometimes sit back and think, all right, maybe in 4 years I'll be fighting for a title. Or what kind of time frame in your own mind do you have?
Well, John Jones got the title at 23 years old, I believe. So I would like to have the title and do my best to be able to work to win the title, just as anybody would, but to be the youngest person to win it. So if I could do that before 23, that'd be incredible. I would love that. So I'm working my best. I'm going to be training my hardest to be able to learn as much as I can from every fight and everything I do in training too.
So that's the kind of goal you have in your mind. You obviously want to be a history maker.
Absolutely, yes sir. Always trying to make history.
Fantastic, good man. And one last question regarding your training. Obviously, we know that it's quite well documented. You went over to Canada to TriStar. Faraz is still in your corner, so that kind of dispels this. There was a bit of something circulating online, or there'd been people speculating, why has he left, why has he gone back. Obviously you can confirm everything's rosy.
Yes, everything's good. Yes sir. I went down to Faraz, Zahabi's, TriStar, train with GSP, Rory McDonald, everybody that's awesome down there, a bunch of awesome athletes, and I was just planning to stay there for 1 week because I have schoolwork. And like this week I actually have finals that I'm taking, so I've been preparing for those finals and getting all my tests and quizzes done and everything. So I stayed there for 1 week, and then I came back, and then the plan is to actually go back after my fight, which was December 10th. So coming up soon, I should be going back to TriStar and getting to train again. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, but essentially it'll be a sort of split-based training camp between obviously home and TriStar. You'll be going back and forth.
Yes, back and forth, and I can't really stay down just at TriStar. First time was just to check it out. I can't really sit down just at TriStar because all my schoolwork and my tests, I have to be back here at Texas to be able to do that. So going back and forth maybe for a week or two, then coming back another week or two and getting to train there and come back.
And can I ask how the training in TriStar can be, obviously training with elite athletes, how did it compare being in that gym and stuff? Was it rigorous, the sessions? Was it hard training? Like what was the takeaway experience?
Oh, I want to say it was hard. It was everybody's very technical there. So they have a lot of opportunities to train throughout the day, which is great, which means I have a lot of opportunities if I'm down there to be able to learn throughout the day. And the more opportunities to learn, the better. So I'm so young that I have a lot to learn, and I'm looking forward to learning the most I can. So it's a great place to train.
Absolutely, yeah. I've interviewed Firas. He's a lovely guy and obviously a mastermind in MMA. So I'm glad that you're part of that team.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I wanted to ask as well. There was a
For
question.
instance, in karate, every other weekend practically for tournaments, missing days of school. I'm sacrificing days of school, but it makes me study that much harder. I'm making straight A's in school all throughout my junior high, my high school, and I'm in Texas A&M now, one of the toughest subjects in petroleum engineering. So it's not really a sacrifice. It's all worth it and it's all fun for me.
Yeah, but in terms of like, have you had moments where you're a normal guy, aren't you? At the end of the day, you'll be going out with your mates and stuff. I'm sure you've had moments where you've been out with your pals and what have you like that. It's not like you've just lived your life trapped in a bubble.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, yeah, we like going out fishing. Normally ride motorcycles, four-wheelers, all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah. With the UFC now, I'm being careful not riding motorcycles or anything like that. But yes, always having a blast for sure.
Yeah, being more cautious than Donald Cerrone, who is renowned for kind of extreme sports and stuff. What is it that you like to do then outside? I mean, you mentioned a couple of things there. You've had to taper off the cycles and stuff, but what do you like to do? Are you a cinema man? Are you a film buff? What's your kind of pleasure when you're not training?
I'm really an outdoors guy, so I like going swimming, like going, I would say hiking, but we don't really have very many hiking trails around. So like fishing, anything that's really like if you're going like tubing, anything like that's really outdoors, it's a blast for me.
Fantastic, yeah. I suppose the next question, and something we were discussing a little bit off camera, was your studies. Something that fascinates me in terms of people that can ply the trade at the elite level whilst simultaneously juggling like another profession or studies, or just talk to us a little bit about the course you're doing and how basically you can juggle both simultaneously.
So right now I'm an engineer at petroleum engineering, or at Texas A&M for petroleum engineering, and I'm a second semester freshman. So my first semester before the UFC, I was taking full-time classes, and that's studying Monday through Friday, having classes every single day of the week, and studying completely like till maybe 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, then having to go get some cardio, like running outside, working out with weights super late at night at the rec center, and then on Saturday and Sunday you're doing group projects. So obviously that's really hard to be able to fit the UFC in with that. So what I've done is I've cut back on the amount of classes and the workload that I have at A&M. So I'm taking just the minimum right now, but I'm still able to train and study my major, petroleum engineering, at the same time.
And does that essentially mean, because you're doing slightly less, does that mean that the course will last a couple of years longer because it's not as intensive? Is that how it operates? Because in England you can kind of do less intensive courses, they may go on a couple of years longer.
It's still intensive courses, so it's still for my subject. The thing is, it's just less of a workload. So really, it kind of eliminates having to get together with your partners in your class and your groups to have to go do group projects over the weekend. That way I can travel, go to compete for the UFC or go to different events and have fun and train too.
I'm guessing your classmates are a bit annoyed about that. Now you're a UFC star, they probably want you to be working alongside them.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. I'm sure they want to come to the fights.
That's it, yeah. I was going to say, have any of them, like, your feedback, I imagine you're going to get a kind of, I know Paige calls them fans ants, doesn't she? But like, you'll have like your own. Jonathan Schrager for mixedmartialarts.com, and I'm joined by Sage Northcutt on the eve of UFC 194. I suppose the first question, Sage, is obviously you've performed this week. A very impressive victory in many regards that showcase certain skills. Before I ask you about the fight itself, I just wanted to ask, there's a lot of hoopla surrounding you at the moment, a lot of buzz. Do you feel the pressure at all?
No, sir, there's no pressure, and it just makes it all more fun because I know the UFC is so organized, and I'm just going to have a blast doing what I like.
Okay, yeah, so there's not an element of, kind of with all the media and as it intensifies, you don't feel that pressure of the glare. Do you think you thrive on it almost?
Definitely, yes, sir. So actually, the more people it feels like in the arena, the more people supporting me or chanting or yelling, it seems to pump me up more, and I get more excited. So it makes it all like more fun.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and I mean, as I mentioned there, we're on the eve of UFC 194, massive, UFC, one of the biggest events of all time. Is this an event that presumably you aspire to headline at some point in the coming years?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I would love to. So that would be a huge honor to get to do that, and just getting to watch all these awesome fighters. So I've actually only been to 2 UFC events, and those are the 2 that I competed in so far. Yeah. And Thursday being my second one. So I've actually never gotten to sit in the audience of a UFC event and actually watch the fight. So I'm looking forward to that tonight.
Do you think it will make you almost sort of even more excited at the prospect of experiencing that yourself?
Yes, definitely more excited for sure.
Top man. And I wanted to ask regarding, like, obviously Conor McGregor's a man that he very much believes in visualization. He always goes on record as saying he visualized himself becoming the champion, like a prophecy almost. With yourself, do you look too far into the future? Do you foresee UFC gold? You're obviously a very ambitious young man. Is that something obviously you're aspiring to?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And you have to visualize. So I agree with that, what Connor says, because if you don't visualize it, then how can you set your goals and make your goals come true? So, yes, I can see it, and I'm obviously taking my time one fight at a time and working my way up slowly so I can learn as a fighter and grow as a fighter too. So I'm looking forward to it in the future.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And I wanted to ask as well, like, a few comments online, you know, people are people and they can be critical about things. They say, oh, this guy is so nice, he's so friendly, it must be fake, you know, because they just can't conceive of someone being super friendly. But I've heard people that know you very well, like Faraz, and even Julie Kedzie came out on Twitter and said, oh, I met Sage, he's a sweetheart, as he comes across on camera, that is Sage. And I've met you now, and I can vouch for it as well. You're a nice guy.
Thank you.
Does it frustrate you at all that you have to sort of receive this criticism when you're just being yourself?
No, it's okay. I mean, I know that I'm having fun doing all this, getting to meet all the people, and everybody that gets to come up to me and talk to me, I'm having a blast. So if the people that may not know me might think certain things, but hopefully in the future they do get to know me, and I hope I get to meet as many people as possible.
Kind of cohort of fans at some point.
Oh, thank you. I love that.
Good man. I wanted to ask as well, how long does the course last? Because when I was talking to Artem Lobov, long time training partner of Conor, and obviously he was featured in the Tough finale, he mentioned that he was a banker, and it's only really in the last year, since Conor's kind of meteoric rise, he's had the ability to fully focus on martial arts. With yourself, how long will the course last? And it's kind of strange for us to think that you're competing at this level, yet you're going to be doing quite an intensive course.
Yes, sir. So normally the course could last 4 or 5 years, depending on obviously your subject. For petroleum engineering, though, that's having the workload where you're working constantly, Monday through Friday, even Saturday and Sundays working, not really getting to do much because you're studying all the time with your partners and your groups and everything. Yeah. But so cutting back the classes and the workload right now, it could obviously take years and years more just to get it done. Yeah. But having the opportunity to have the petroleum engineering open right now while getting to fight for the UFC, that's a big opportunity. Just not only the UFC is a big opportunity, but the subject I'm in for petroleum engineering is one of the toughest inside not only Texas, but for all of Texas A&M. Texas A&M is the #1 school in the nation for petroleum engineering too. So it's hard to get accepted in there. So keeping that major is a big deal. But in the future, it is possible that I might take a break from it and then go back.
I was going to say, yeah, because say you get to a level where you break into the top 15, top 10, conceivably at that stage, do you then start thinking, I need to fully focus now and maybe, like you say, take a bit of a hiatus from the studies?
Right, for sure. That's very possible. Yes, sir. Train full time. You can always go back to school. So, and right now the oil's down right now, and the oil price, the gas. So, but maybe in a few years it'll be back up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can I ask what inspired this? I mean, what subjects did you do at high school that led on to it, and what kind of inspired? Some Irish fans here entering the building. Yeah, what inspired petroleum? I mean, it's quite a very specific sort of subject.
So really, actually, a friend of mine, a few friends too, not only just my friends because they were petroleum engineers at Texas A&M, and friends of my friends, but also the engineering and petroleum engineering, the oil and the gas is really huge in Texas. So it's something that I want to do, and it's just a fun subject to do also for me. I love not only the petroleum part of it, but just the engineering in general. Just I could take an engine, let's say, like for instance, my old motorcycle, my first motorcycle I ever had. Okay. I took apart the whole entire bike all the way down to the engine and like changed stuff out and then put the whole entire bike back together. Right. The only thing I didn't take off was the tires and the steering wheel. So, yeah, so I love to build things and all sorts of stuff like that also. So that really inspired me.
Did it run better afterwards?
It did a lot better.
Yeah, so successful, good man. I wanted to ask you then, just sort of moving on now a little bit from the studies, and I appreciate the time, and a couple more questions. There are certain stars in the UFC that can transcend the sport. You know, we've had, like, obviously tonight, Conor, the Ronda Rouseys of the sport, John Jones. You're a guy that's touted to be someone potentially that could be, because of your personality, because of your physical appearance, you know, that people think that you have that ability to go on and maybe transcend the sport and be a flag bearer for the sport. Is that
possible?
Yeah, absolutely. And one quite amusing question that I think one of the journalists asked you at the media scrum when you were obviously doing your media workout before the fight, I think they asked you, is there anything that frustrates you, like anything in the world that frustrates you, having had a bit of time to think, like even stubbing your toe on the plug, like would that annoy you? Is there something you can say, oh no, actually that does annoy me?
That would hurt. Stubbing your toe, that would hurt. I've done that. I try to laugh it off. So, but anything that's really negative that might be trying to come against me or like anyone, for instance, I really kind of try to tune that out, block that out, and not concentrate on it. So, and there's always an upside to something. So if there's something that may not be good or something that may be negative coming your way, there's always something bigger in store.
For sure, yeah. No, I like the mindset. It's a good mindset to have. Another thing that was sort of there was a question posed to you during the media scrum, and it's something that the way you handled it, I thought you handled it majestically. Someone mentioned steroids, and you almost thanked them for, you know, because it's a compliment to the shape you're in. Does it frustrate you as an athlete that clearly works very hard on his craft as a martial artist when people mention things like that purely based on your physical appearance? Does that frustrate you at all?
No, sir, absolutely not. And just the fact that they think that really is a huge compliment. It makes me flattered. Yeah. So I know how hard that I've worked my whole entire life, dieting for 15 years, training the hardest, and anybody that knows me knows how hard I train, how I diet, and how much effort I put into it. So that's a big compliment for me, and if someone thinks that, then that means a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. And kind of neatly segues onto another question regarding, people have speculated online, I don't know where this rumour came from, but it was one like we mentioned the other day in the press conference. Someone said, oh, is it true that you don't use the internet? And I think someone else told me that he's never had a chocolate bar or something like that. Basically, the media trying to depict, I suppose, quite a protected upbringing, I suppose, you know, compared to a lot of teenagers. Is that accurate? Is it? I mean, obviously you competed a lot as a youngster, so you probably did have to sacrifice quite a bit in certain regards.
Sure, I may not. I'm kind of new to the social media, but no, I use the internet for sure. I have to use it for school, use it to watch fights on Fight Pass, use it for my social media, my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, and I run those. So I am using my internet, and but now maybe not using it in the way if someone's talking negative stuff. I really don't look at that stuff, and I don't really concentrate on any of that. So that may be kind of out of the equation, but I'm always thanking the people that do, and trying my best to thank everybody that does say positive things and can say something that's uplifting.
And I imagine the majority of comments that you're receiving are positive. You know, there seems to be a lot of love for you out there.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you know, so but like, yeah, I suppose just to add to that question, you know, this kind of idea of, are there things that, like, you know, people perceive at everyday normal teenagers that they can experience, you know, going out, sort of socialising? Are they things that essentially you had to sacrifice a little bit growing up to get into the shape you are and the competition that you experienced?
Well, sure, for sure. There's always certain things, but the thing is, it's not really sacrificing certain things, because everything I'm doing is fun for me. Yeah. So if I get to travel, like growing up, for